Your story matters and it can change everything. Mine started with a pen and a poem. I didn't grow up with access to big name climate programs or a huge platform, but I did have something to say. And poetry became the medium I used to express myself, especially about the things people didn't want to talk about, like the communities being left out of climate conversations or the grief that comes with watching the planet change before your very eyes. That need to speak up and that drive to do something has since shaped the activist I've become. At school, I revived our abandoned environmental council and led it as the president for the past 3 years. It began with just me in a lonely classroom at every lunch hour pitching ideas to anyone who would listen. Now, we're 40 members strong. Under my leadership, we earned the EcoSchools Platinum Award, the highest national distinction and the first one in my school's history. But more than the award, it's what we've built that I'm most proud of. A school-wide composting and recycling overhaul, water and food waste audits, the elimination of bus idling, and a regenerative community farm to grow produce sustainably that we co-created with Earthwise, a local charitable organization for environmental stewardship. I believe climate action should be tangible, inclusive, and empowering. That belief drives my work as the director and creator of the Climate Education Department at the Canadian Youth Climate Action Team. For the past year, I've been directing and producing free investigative journalism and educational videos to shed light on major environmental developments that have been overlooked, misrepresented, or underreported in mainstream media. Having been limited by financial barriers to participate in climate programs when I was a child, I wanted to solve this issue of accessibility. So I did. With the Youth Climate Action Team, I helped design a free annual international program called the Youth Climate Action Midsummer Program, dedicated to teaching students in grades 4 to 7 about climate justice, biodiversity, and sustainable living. Together, as an organization, we have reached over 300,000 youth globally across 30 countries. As a personal project, I also founded the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals Youth, a nonprofit that merges art and activism with advocating for the 17 United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. For our biggest event, we hosted Eco Harmony. It was a collaborative event between us and Oceanwise that brought together more than 90 youth in Vancouver and over 20,000 globally through social media. The goal of this event? To transform climate anxiety into collective action through music, poetry, and youth-led solutions by inviting artists who make music out of recycled materials and spotlighting people's personal and inspirational environmental stories. To show that climate action isn't limited to protests and scientific research. It's art and creativity too. In 2024, I was honored to be named one of Canada's top 25 environmentalists under 25 for my work in climate activism. This month, I was invited as one of 22 speakers to present at the Climate Storytellers Summit organized by Yale University, Princeton University, and the University of Pennsylvania. From that experience, I spoke about how poetry helped me transform climate grief into action and how storytelling can be a catalyst for empathy and change. Both experiences didn't just validate the work I've done, they reaffirmed the message I want every young person to know, that your voice matters, and that you don't need a perfect platform to make a difference. Just the courage to speak, create, and keep showing up. As someone from a low-income background, I felt climate injustice in quiet, painful ways, such as not being able to attend an environmental conference due to the cost of gas and transportation, over-consuming energy because cheaper homes have worse insulation, or purchasing food with the greatest emissions because environmentally friendly options are magnitudes pricier. These experiences have shaped my work, and they've deepened my reason for being an activist. Through my poems, I aim to amplify the voices and stories that don't get enough attention, like petrochemical pollution near the Aamjiwnaang First Nations land, or the coastal GasLink pipeline's threat to the Wet'suwet'en land. One of my poems centered on land degradation in Eswatini earned an honorable mention in the Beauseat Ocean Awareness Contest, the world's largest environmental youth program for the creative arts. My poem placed in the top 40 out of 2,500 entries. Beyond my artistic side, when I reflected on the little space that youth have in climate policy conversations, I took action and initiative. This year, I organized the British Columbia Students' Climate Policy Meeting, where 10 students representing over 3,000 students across the province met with Member of Parliament Talib Noor Mohammed and presented a youth-written open letter. Our proposals included suggesting net zero school construction and clean transportation, solutions to climate education for K-12, and requests for mental health support for youth facing climate anxiety. For me, these actions are about fighting for a future where everyone, regardless of income, background, or postcode, has the chance to live safely, breathe clean air, and be part of the solution. Change begins with connection, with being honest about our fears, generous with our hope, and brave enough to share our stories. So here I am sharing mine. Not because it's polished or perfect, but because it's true and authentic to me. And because I know there's another young person out there who, like me, felt small or scared or silenced, who's just waiting to hear. Your voice matters, your story matters, and you can change everything. Thank you.